So my name is Thomas Corrigan, and I served on the Leamington team, which is actually Leamington, Kingsville, and the area.
And what kind of team was that?
It was a discipleship team, so that means that we were in one place for the entire year, and we were trying to build disciples, so we were actually journeying with the youth as they come to Christ. There's also a retreat team which runs retreats, but we were more like we were there for the journey for the year at least, yeah.
Ministry was hard, but it was worth it. All of the stuff that we did for those kids, it came back to us tenfold, just in like the fruits that we saw from the journey that they went on in their faith and the way that they grew closer to God. Yeah.
One of the parents wrote me a letter and said basically, my son has, particularly by your witness, he is way more on fire with his faith. He wants to, like, anything faith related, he like eats it up, sort of thing. And he wasn't like that way before. Just to have that Catholic witness to be like, it's a good thing to be Catholic. And it's not weird, and it's not some just old tradition that's dead now. Like it is alive now and working now, and there's a certain joy and a certain fire that comes out of it.
It depends on the youth. Like some of the youth were like really like at a stage where like they were like, you know, like God's real, like I'm ready to commit my life to Him. Like what are these steps? But other students are like, you know, I come from a lot of hurt in my family, and like I have a lot of backgrounds where like I was hurt by the church, or I was hurt by my family, and so I think I saw the Lord working through like a lot of those situations where I was just like listening first. And so before you can even like sometimes like bring God into it, that first you just have to sit with them and just listen to where they come from and what their story is first. So a big way I saw the Lord working was giving me the ears and the means to listen to youth and where they're at this year.
Yeah, it was so cool journeying with them, especially with the small groups. So I ran a small group with my other teammate, Haley. And it was about 9. Like it's like quite a big, small group. And it was just really beautiful to see their faith grow, and then like the relationships with each other grow as well. And one like girl, it was so great. Like this doesn't usually happen, but like at retreats, like we give them like a challenge to take away, and she was doing this challenge almost consistently every day, which I was like very surprised to hear. She said that like she had noticed a change. And just when we were like leaving, we decided that like as like a little gift for them, we wanted to pray for like a specific like Bible scripture, like a scripture for them. And yeah, I found this one scripture. I was actually gonna pick a different one. I was like, I need to put this one, I need to get rid of this one. And then we gave it to them at the end. And she told me that she'd actually been praying with this scripture, and that she felt like it'd be the first time like confirmation almost, like that God truly saw her through this like scripture. Just like I felt like God was actually speaking to me through this, because she'd been praying that she wanted to hear God's voice through this, and she's like, I feel like now I have heard Him.
Like I feel like I've had a lot of youth on retreats this year that were like atheist, or like they didn't believe in God, but by the end of the retreat they like kind of opened their heart to maybe a possibility that God did exist, which I found really beautiful, because I'm like, if they're opening their heart like that a little bit, like there's a seed that has been planted, and so then like that can be watered in the future, and like God can do massive things. I don't know, it just really impacts me a lot, because I'm like, wow, like before today they didn't even want anything to do with God, and now they might have a relationship with God in the future. So
There was one girl who was like very closed off to her faith, let's say, and just, I don't know, it was just very beautiful to see her go from not trusting the Catholic Church at all to like being open to it. And even when we're running programs over their lunch hour, which is completely their free choice if they want to come or not, she was actually very strongly considering that as well. And so really beautiful. And like, again, seeing the change from the beginning to the end of the year was really encouraging, I guess. Yeah.
wow, my NET year was pretty incredible, very life-changing. And I just like grew so much as a person, like learning how to trust God through like every circumstance, and like just surrendering myself to Him and not worrying about what's to come or like what could happen, and just like fully letting go. And also just really learning what it is to be a woman, and just like the beauty in being a woman and like a bride of Christ, a daughter, a sister, a mother, really having that community of like other women on the team to support me and to love me and to encourage me to become that beautiful daughter of Christ.
Okay, I think the big thing I grew in was that like there's a difference in between like passive trust in the Lord and like active trust in the Lord, and like, you know, like trusting the Lord but then acting on that. That was like a really big thing this year that I had to learn. Yeah, and then like finding peace in storms, you know, because that's crazy and you have to be able to find the peace where you go crazy.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I learned was how to like love others and love myself, but not in the way where it's just like me drawing like this love out of myself to give to people, but like letting God fill me up first and like letting that love kind of like spew out of me. So it's in like a different sense. Like we watched this one Father Mike Schmidt's video with our youth group one night, and I'm like, it was supposed to be for the youth, but it touched me. It's so funny. But he like explained like being like a vessel of like God's love to others, or like loving yourself. You can either be like a pipeline, or it's just like God's grace, God's love just goes straight through you, the other people, or like a bowl where you're like filled up with God's grace and then it just kind of flows out of you. I'm like, I think I've learned a lot in how to let myself be a bowl of God's love. And yeah, I think it's really changed the way I love myself and the way I love others too.
My biggest takeaway from my 2 years serving with NET is that like, no matter what God calls you towards, like if you say yes, like He's got a plan. About 3/4 of the way through my second year, one of my buddies texted me, he's like, Chris, like I'm applying for my PhD. And I think I just like hit a moment where I was like, oh shoot, that could have been me. I could have been like applying for a PhD right now. But instead I'm like so far away from home doing this crazy thing. But then like immediately afterwards, it was like, no, like this has been such an adventure. I've grown so much, and the Lord has rewarded me like infinite times. Yeah, just like whatever you give to the Lord, like He's gonna give back so much. Because I could have been there, that was my plan, but this plan was so much better.